How's it going, everybody? JD here once again from Douglas Elliman in Las Vegas. A new podcast today, and I have a special guest by the name of Lauren Kinkade-Wong out of Pasadena. She is the associate broker at the Pasadena office and also a team lead, of course, team owner of the Kinkade Group. But she's been in the industry for a while now. Started back in 2005 with a lot of experience, so much experience. She actually got into mortgages too, ended up becoming a VP at a mortgage company as well. So there's a lot of extensive knowledge, not on the real estate side, but also on the lending side. So I'm sure that brings a lot of value to her clients as well. She's won several awards, including in 2021, the President Award at Douglas Elliman. So I'm sure she's very proud about that. So she can go into detail what that is about as well. But now I'm going to bring her to the screen. And once again, Lauren, here she comes. Hey there, Lauren.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for being part of it. I really appreciate it.
I'm very excited to be here.
All right, let's go. So a little brief history about me, Lauren. So I met Lauren when I first pretty much joined Douglas Elliman. So newer to Las Vegas, and my goal was to meet other talented agents around our network, especially our neighboring area. So California was obviously a big importance to me, and I was lucky to be invited to do a presentation at her office in Pasadena. So I met her and a bunch of her team and her agents there. So it was a great office, great vibe. So that's how I met her. Now, of course, I met her at Aspire and other events through Douglas Elliman. So I think what everyone has talked about in previous podcasts, Douglas Elliman really wants the agents to come together in any kind of facet, whether it be presentations and meetings and, of course, celebrations and events. So which is great. So it's nice to see familiar faces. So I'm glad to see you again virtually now.
Nice to see you as well.
All right, Lauren. So obviously, I gave a couple highlights what you do from Pasadena, broker associate, team lead, team owner, a couple awards. Let's get right into it. This is your bragging time, okay? You've been in the industry for a while. I want you to brag a little bit about what you've accomplished in your time being in the industry, and of course, what you got doing right now.
Sure. So as you mentioned, I got into the real estate industry in 2005. I started off in mortgages and moved my way up into vice president and ran the company for about 10 years. I'm actually a second generation realtor. My mom was a realtor in Las Vegas.
What's in the blood? That's right. Yeah, I forgot to mention, she actually was from Vegas too. So that's another a tie, which is cool. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Currently, we live in South Pasadena. I'm happily married with 2 kids. And so after I was working in the mortgage industry, I had kind of gone as far as I could go and wanted something that was a little challenging and allowed me a little bit more freedom with my schedule. So I decided to be a realtor. So I did that starting in 2018. And I've been very fortunate to have, sorry, my assistant's texting me. I was very fortunate to have a lot of business that started out, and I was able to win some awards. So like you mentioned, 2022, I won the Ellie's President's Award. And then this past year, I won where is it? I won another award. I don't remember what it is. And I am also the president-elect for our local association of realtors here in Pasadena, California.
Very nice.
So next year I will be president of the association, and I'm also a board member for the California Association of Realtors.
So you said you want to leave lending to have more freedom, and you just mentioned everything you're doing. So I don't compute.
Yeah, that kind of was backwards. Yeah. It wasn't my intent to do all of this, and I was, again, very fortunate that I was asked to be on the board of the Pasadena Foothills Association of Realtors, and then also that Douglas Elliman asked me to become a sales manager after I joined, and I've really loved and enjoyed every minute of that, and getting to know all of the agents here within our Douglas Elliman family.
Sure. So Pasadena. So you're in Pasadena. So how long you live in Pasadena how long you been there then?
So I've been living here now for it's more than that, probably 12 years. Okay. And I've worked in Pasadena for 20. So.
Okay. So you're very familiar with the area. So you kind of knew it already, which is great.
Yes.
So lending, obviously you did lending for such a long time. How has that played a valuable position in your success being a realtor?
Oh, it's been extremely valuable because I know what goes on behind the scenes for a loan. I know about underwriting. I've actually worn almost every hat in the industry. I was an escrow officer we had a very boutique firm. Okay. And so there was a time during the crash of '08 where we had to do everything ourselves. And so I was the escrow officer, I was the loan processor, I was, running payroll, and I've
Wow.
also been a loan doc signer as well as as doing mortgages. So all of that has allowed me to understand what each part of the process entails, and
Right.
me to tell my clients what to expect, what they should be looking out for, especially for our sellers, really looking out for any potential red flags with buyers that are submitting on offers.
Yeah, that makes sense. Having that experience is so invaluable. I mean, so my experience, I came from new construction, so I know new construction really, really well. It helped me.
Nice.
It helped me in my general side. So imagine lending and title. I mean, literally, you could put on a different hat for every section. Like, hey, I'm your escrow officer. I'm your lender.
Not anymore, but back then we could.
Yeah, no, oh, for sure. Things have changed. So also, family of realtors. I've noticed that that's kind of a trend sometimes too. Let me ask you a question. Were you anti being like, oh, I'm not going to be a realtor? That's not my thing. That's your thing. Or were you kind of like, no, this could be potential?
Yeah. So I didn't really have a desire to be a real estate agent because I saw all the showings that my mom would go on and didn't really think that was for me.
Yeah.
But I like a challenge. And after I had kind of reached the pinnacle of my career in mortgage, I needed something else to challenge me. And so I went into this, and you learn something every single day, that. And it's a very challenging position that really helps me to push myself forward.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, do you remember your first sale?
I do.
Yeah. Everyone tells us the first sale. It's always the one that sometimes kick off people's career. Like, oh, this is what I should be doing. Or like, oh, one of them was Christina San Diego. She's like, my first deal was like $3 million. I'm like, oh, this is easy. I'm like, that's not normal.
Yeah, no. I think mine was
like
$675,000, which for LA is a very low price point.
Yeah. And then, so was it as a referral? Was something you generated yourself? How'd that happen?
So I had joined a team so that I could learn the ropes of how the real estate industry works. And it was a lead that came through from their prospecting.
Yeah.
And they already had an idea of which property they wanted to be in. So it was literally just showing it to them. And it was a new construction. So as with new constructions, typically the sales manager there takes over from the file, and you basically are just there to advise.
Yeah.
So it was really easy in that sense, and no issues that happened with that particular file. But it was my second sale that I had some issues. So yeah, it's one of those learning experiences.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, because you think, oh, I'll just do new construction. This is cake.
Yeah.
No, that's true. I think it's funny. People have different concepts or mentalities when it comes to new construction, right? It's more like, it's how does someone not want to buy a new home? It's pretty, it's shiny, it's awesome, right? But but at the same time, for a real estate agent, we're there to advise, like you just said. We're literally advising. They really take over. Their job is to sell their product. Our job is to protect the client. That's what we're there for, right? Whether it be the walkthroughs, the deliveries, making sure they're hitting their dates, and obviously make sure the loan's good to go. It's a different kind of process from new construction and resale. And I guess your second deal must have been a resale because a little more hiccups there.
Yeah, it was.
But that's what gives our stripes, as you know, Laura. I mean, and that's why the thing I love about this industry, and the same thing probably with you, is that every deal is so different. Every client is so different. Every property is so different, and that's what literally wakes me up every morning, knowing it's something new every day. And I think that's why I gravitate to this industry, because I don't like the same thing every single day. I don't. It doesn't fill my cup. Do you agree with that as well?
Absolutely. I love the change from day to day, and I'm not one for monotony.
Yeah.
So I like that every single day there's something new.
Yeah, that's awesome. Next question. So we're in an interesting year. We have some higher rates. We got some low inventory issues going around too. We've got the elections coming up. There's a lot. There's so many different things that really it triggers or trickles down to what we do. Right. So what does your business look like this year? What are you doing to cancel the noise, and obviously how are you educating your clients?
So I basically just keep my nose to the grindstone. We're constantly prospecting, and that's something that I try to make sure that my team members do as well, because those who put in the work are going to see the rewards. So even if business is, crazy and doing really, really well, we still make time to prospect. And so last year we kind of did a switch from being more of a buyer's agent to doing more listings. And so this year I see a lot of that happening, our price point increasing, and hopefully our production as well.
Yeah. Do you feel because of the higher rates, have you buyers dropped off a little bit, or are you still seeing being the popular and where in your location or where you're doing your business? What do you see there?
Yeah, so it's interesting because there are some people who have stepped away, but I try to educate my clients that we'll never see a 2% rate again. And it's very unlikely we'll see a 3% rate again. This was a unicorn that we went through in COVID. And when I bought my home, the prices were 6.25%. So this is a very typical rate that we're seeing. And the more that I explain that to my clients, the more they understand that this is more likely going to be what it looks like from now on.
Sure.
And they are still ready to move forward and purchase those homes.
Are you seeing negotiations on concessions for rate buy downs? Are you seeing a lot as well?
Rate buy downs, not so much because our inventory is still very low, but because we're not in the same atmosphere that we were during COVID, where it was 50 people placing offers and it going $1 million over asking. The sellers are more inclined to provide some sort of concessions as far as repairs are concerned.
Sure.
But for the properties that we try to do the rate buy down, it has to be something that's been sitting for a while.
Got it. Makes sense. And then since, like I said, they're halfway done. I mean, it's crazy. We're almost halfway done the year, which is insane. What, how often do you monitor your goals throughout the year? Is this something you check pretty often, monthly? How does it look like for you and your team?
I know my numbers day to day. So, I'm looking at it every week. I have a CRM that calculates everything for me. And that allows me to understand where I'm at, where we're going, what our goals are. Have we met it? What else do we need to do to get there?
Yeah. And what does your team look like right now?
So my husband is actually my business partner. So he's a realtor as well. And we have another agent on our team, Gina, and she's fabulous. She's been with us for a little over a year now.
Oh, very cool. And then your office. You obviously your broker associate, so you're really holding on to the office. How are your agents feeling during those times? Are they asking a lot more questions? Some agents haven't experienced this yet, so I'm sure. Right. So how you can communicate with that to them?
So we have some agents that are obviously kind of frustrated because their business may have plateaued a bit over the holidays and not necessarily picked up just yet.
Sure.
But I just let them know this is a part of the way that the real estate cycle works, and you are going to make some sales. It's going to come soon. You just have to be patient. But those who have been in the industry for a while, they know that they need to be constantly prospecting. And so their doors are always, or their sales are always closing. And so there's not as much of an issue with production.
Sure. I think it's funny. I told my team as soon as we saw the rates increasing, once they noticed a difference happen, I'm like, all right, we might not get immediate sales for next month, but I promise whatever we're doing right now is going to pay us tenfold in the future months. Right. So you keep your head down, focus on your efforts, change your messaging, make sure you're there for your clients, do normal things, but, also increase the frequency as well. And change your messaging, is important too. So now what all the efforts I did in the beginning of the year, which was a slower months for us, it's like, wow, now we're just, but we didn't have to feel the long-term lull. We kind of were ready for that, but obviously if you're a new agent, you never experienced this, you know what to do. And I get that. It can be scary at times, but talking to someone who's a veteran like Lauren, just so you can pick her brain, she might have seen that up and down the economy, whether it be with her own business or her mother's business, she can see what people did. And that's exactly what I did. I asked questions to agents who've been in the game for 15, 20 years, like, hey, during these times, what do you see happening? What's that conversation look like, kind of thing? Right. And to your point, people are like, yeah, rates were like in the sixes, those kind of the thing. I mean, you know what I mean? So, you just got to tell people like, hey, to your point, 2, 3, 4%, or was more of an anomaly. People did great. They took advantage of it. You still can too. These are low rates. At the same time, you can definitely refi. It's an option. The saying goes, you marry the home, you date the rate. You're going to change the rate as well. You know what I mean? So if it's the home, if it's the home you want, that's the home you want. You know what I mean?
Right.
And obviously, if this high rate is the worst payment you're going to have, are you good with that? You think it's going to get better?
It's much better to be paying your own mortgage than someone else's.
100%. And rent hasn't gone down.
No, so it's gotten more expensive. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So you gotta think about that too. What's that break-even point? When does it make sense, kind of thing? But that's where we come into play, right? To give the different scenarios.
Right.
I mean, a basic realtor will show that's a pretty home. Look at that kitchen. That's a gorgeous kitchen. We can do that all day. Anyone can do that, but it's identifying the right time, what it looks like, equity opportunity, versus rent versus buy, all that stuff, break that down. I know if you're a realtor that does that, the conversion is so much greater because they feel comfortable making that move, doing it, because there's no questions to be unanswered, right? Because you answer all the right questions, and I'm sure that's what you do as well, Lauren.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm here to help all of my agents and be a resource for them and our clients, and make sure that we're doing our very best.
Yeah. And do you do like mass communication to your clients in your pipeline? And what does that look like? Do you do emails? Do you do direct marketing? What does that look like?
I do a little bit of both. So I have a newsletter that goes out weekly. And then I also have auto plans that I've set up. And so they're constantly getting some source of value as far as what to expect when they do finally get into escrow, and what that experience is going to be like and what they need to look out for. So we're making sure that we're providing value at every step.
Good. And I think the important thing is, how strong are you, or how diligent are you on testimonials? I think as time goes on, it's so important that we have our clients give us feedback, because that helps obviously get more clients too, right? So how often are you pushing testimonials, whether it be through your, of course, Zillow platforms or your own website? What are you doing with that?
After every close, I always reach out to my clients and ask them if they would do me the favor of doing a referral, or not a referral, a review.
No, ask that too.
Yeah, a referral would be great. Putting a review down, and they have been really good about doing that, so it's not been an issue for us.
Cool. Yeah, I think I've learned that too. I mean, it's so funny when you get so much into the game of the everyday, you tend to forget sometimes. I mean, you'll say like congratulations, you'll do the gift, you'll do the walkthrough, you'll call, I'm so happy, and then you forget to ask, like, a testimony would be great. And every time I ask, like, absolutely, what do you want from me? You know what I mean? Almost every time, right? I'm like, I got to remember that. And so they want to do it. They always ask to do it, kind of thing. But sometimes you get so inundated in the everyday business, you can forget to do that sometimes. So I can't express how important that is. And if you do a good job, your clients are more than welcome to doing that. They're honored to do that, because obviously they want to see you succeed as well. And
Absolutely.
of course, the best form of flattery, of course, is a referral, like you mentioned the first time, right? And they're more likely to refer because they put their name, they put their own name out there, so they're like, of course, yeah. And they can share it too through all their followers and whatnot. So that's super important as well.
Absolutely.
All right, next question here. As a listing agent, as you're saying, so because the market has changed, obviously your market's different. So every agent I talk to is a different market. So I can't, there's not a blanket, market right now. Talk about Pasadena as a listing agent. How are you communicating to your clients right now in this market?
Well, in Southern California, our homes here are much older than, say, for Las Vegas. Most of our homes are around 100 years old. So the first impression is the most important impression. And that means that in order to get the highest dollar amount and to sell as quickly as possible, we need to make sure that it's marketed correctly. And so that includes making sure that there's some renovations done to make it as turnkey as possible, having professional photos and videos done, marketing it correctly, and then professional staging as well. So, but the most important factor is pricing. And if you price it too high, I try to explain to my clients, it's going to be sitting for a lot longer than you would like. And you'll chances are sell it for less than you would have liked had you listed it lower. So lower is always the better option. Yeah.
And also, I think it's important identifying their motivation, right?
Exactly.
Like, is there a home down the street that you want to buy? Then factor that, right? So all that stuff. The same time, I can maybe negotiate on that side to make it a wash on this side too. So, all those things that play a factor in that too. But you're absolutely right, Lauren. Depending obviously on how many homes on the market, but you got first impression is super important. And I'm guessing, Lauren, you must have amazing contacts to do renovations and to help with that stuff, right?
Absolutely.
Our job as a good realtor is to have a one-stop shop. Like, my Rolodex is deep. What do you need? You know what I mean? This is what I recommend, right? And so you can say, hey, based on this, if you want to sell top dollar fast as possible, I recommend these right now. This is the buyers that I work with want to see. All right. So therefore, let's make the home perfect for them. It's very possible we can do by doing small, minor things. We don't need to do a full gut job by any means, but it's amazing what the small things can really elevate your home. And so obviously your goal is to make your home stand out of the crowd. as well, right? So whether it be staging, photos, renovations, and of course, ultimately price point. The rule of thumb, if it's priced right, odds of it selling super high,
Absolutely.
right? And so I call it the COVID hangover. A lot of sellers still have that, like top dollar multiple. I'm like, it's good. Don't get me wrong, but it's not what it was. Like you said, $1 million over. That's mind blowing, right? So educating them, and showing them actual, MLS stats. The days on the market a little longer. Sold out listing, maybe a little lower. You know what I mean? So the proof is in the pudding. Showing numbers, understanding the market is super important, especially when you do a listing presentation.
Right.
And then, of course, you always have those wonderful realtors out there who says the home is way worth more just to get the listing. And you're like, oh, my goodness. You know what I mean? So,
I know. Yeah, it's very easy to have somebody come in and say that they'll list it for whatever you want. But really, the question is it going to sell? And how long are you willing to wait for it to sell? So aspirational pricing is great, but you have to have a certain motivation to make sure that you're okay with being on the market for a long period of time before you see it sell.
Yeah. I had one time I was doing a listing presentation and the client was like, oh, this agent said I can get this much. I'm like, oh, that's great. Tell them to provide you some comps.
Yes.
And then they're like, yeah, they can provide. I'm like, I'm telling you, it's, we're not, I want to help you out. Don't you think I want to sell your home for more money? Because obviously the more you sell, the more money I make, but I'd rather be honest with you to tell you what's going to sell at, so you can proceed with your life, you know what I mean? And not hopes and dreams. I mean, that's just not realistic life.
Right.
Oh, fun realtors out there. All right, so industry is changing. I mean, rapidly. I mean, since I've been in, since you're obviously your mom has been in. My goodness, where do you see real estate happening in the next 5 years? I mean, with technology, AI, Chat GPT. I mean, virtual. I mean, it's all changing, right? Even our construction or what we're offering has changed. Now, where do you see it happening? I know it's a open-ended question, but curious. I'm sure people ask you all the time.
Well, there's ebbs and flows to every real estate market, and we go through certain cycles. So obviously with COVID, there was a huge seller's market that happened, and prices went up significantly. So I do see that coming down and plateauing.
Yeah.
We're not going to see a major crash, in my opinion, but I do think that we'll see some normalization of the market.
Yeah.
And I think that it's going to eventually switch back to being a buyer's market, which means that there's more room for negotiation, more room for concessions. So it'll make it a lot easier for the buyers.
Yeah. And then since you don't think that's going to crash, I'm with you. I don't see that happening. I think what's different from today versus back in 2007 and 8 during that time is people are all underwater. Okay. A lot of people actually have equity in their properties right now, right? And also most people have a pretty low rate as well, right? So kind of you're comfortable kind of thing. So, I don't see very many fire sales happening. I don't see that happening. But yes, they're going to have people who are going to, there's a lot of job losses happening right now too in the tech sector and whatnot kind of thing. So I'm sure we're going to feel something as it has to happen. It's going to happen kind of thing. And of course, we're against high rates. You have election year next year is on top of that too. So there's a lot of outside factors that can really change the way that real estate is moving. But I think we all say is you got to protect your business, right? Stay in front of what's happening, protect your clients, provide information as much as you can. But I think the more of a resource you are to your clients, the more they're going to be there if they need something from you, right? So that's super important. If you take a vacation for 4 months, good luck. They want someone there, which is important. I think during COVID, I think that's when I learned the most is that I literally sent out so much videos during that time, just saying, hey, this is unprecedented times. We honestly don't know what's happening, but I promise you that I'm on the ground, boots on the ground. I'll tell you everything I know, just so you know too, right? You know what I mean? So, that, and I'm sure people are going to happen coming up in the next several months too, because economic people have said that this is unprecedented time, uncharted waters. What's going on right now? We haven't seen something like this with how many rate increases in a long period of time or a short period of time. So. We're all going through this together kind of thing. But I think obviously you being in the game, you being a team lead, you seeing this firsthand, it makes you so much more valuable and also you reach out to your clients so often too, that really helps.
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, when we had the fallout in '08, that changed everything.
Yeah.
I remember seeing some of the deals that were coming across my desk at 100% financing with option arms, which meant that you went into negative amortization. And that's really what caused the downfall of '08. And now, thankfully, they've made the requirements a lot stricter so that we won't have an issue like that again. But, there's always ebbs and flows, and there will eventually become a normalization of the market, and we'll see what happens from there.
Yep. Where do you get your information from? Like, do you do a lot of research yourself? Do you talk to other industry leaders? Obviously, you being part of the board itself, I'm sure you have a lot of insight. Is that where that comes from? A lot of that?
So yes, I'm very fortunate that with the California Association of Realtors, I have to attend conferences on behalf of our local association. And so I'm hearing all about what's happening as far as legislation is concerned, what's going to be coming up in changes to our real estate industry.
Yeah.
And then also at the local level, I'm hearing what's happening within our own community and what kind of issues are coming up that maybe other agents may not be aware of.
Sure.
And then I also really heavily lean into the news cycle and follow everything that's real estate related in the news and finance as well because of my background. Yeah. So that's how I get all of my information and provide some sort of value to my clients.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's great to have different kind of sources, not just one, obviously, but especially local ones. I think it's super important, like you said, right? Going to your local meetings they have here too, and I can't express that enough how important that is. Going to your local meetings that have, whether it be masterminds or top producers who are they talk about what they're seeing. Title companies do a lot of that stuff as well. And of course, our Douglas Elliman emails, they do talk about that too, whether not only local but also global. And that's also a big factor in what we do too, right? People pulling out money in the US, people pumping money into the US, currency, stuff like that. So I read those. That was a really big thing I loved about coming to Douglas Elliman was those emails, because I was so much more on a micro level versus a macro level. So therefore I was like, oh, cool, I know my Vegas bubble, yeah, you know what I mean? But I wasn't, looking outside that. And so that everything has affected, especially here, we're very international based Vegas because we're global, right? So we have global eyes on us. So that's really important. So I didn't even factor that into my business. So now that I do, it's changed me for sure. But that's good that you're obviously in the forefront and to have that, because I mean, you want to showcase what you know to your clients. I sometimes post that. I'm like, hey, I'm actually at a seminar to learn to provide you information, right? And like, oh, awesome, you know what I mean? Great, Or I say, hey, can't wait to share what I learned on my next video, whatnot. Like, cool. So it's like that, and it always doesn't have to be, I think, economic forward. It could be. I like to do fun stuff too, like like new restaurants, new things coming out, because that's cool. We're selling our area, right? And so that's important to know that too. And for Pasadena, do you see a lot of new business coming in, or what do you see happening on that level?
So, because we're such an established community, there's not really new business that comes in per se.
Yeah.
We have our staples here in Pasadena, like the Tournament of Roses and the Rose Parade. We have JPL, the NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and Caltech. So those are really some of the leading causes for people to move into Pasadena.
Yeah.
But we don't necessarily see, like, for example, when you had the football team come to Vegas, that created a whole new area of revitalization.
Yeah.
And so that's not necessarily something we see as much over here because we've been around for so much longer.
That makes sense. Yeah. So I think that's what's so desirable about Pasadena, is because it's so established, right? It's so, what you see is what you get, which is cool. And people love that, right? Completely, you're absolutely right. Vegas as a whole, we're really trying to fight ourselves still. We're such a, moving quick city kind of thing. It's shiny, let's bring it to Vegas kind of thing. I mean, they just announced we're getting the Oakland A's. I mean, that just announced a couple of days ago.
Yes.
Which was exciting too. So, but no, I'm with you. But I love Pasadena. When I visited you, it was such a cute downtown. It was so cute. I love it. It was, the restaurants are phenomenal. And of course you have the famous Rose Parade. I mean, I grew up watching that parade. I mean, I literally grew up watching it every single New Year's morning. I mean, that was what you did. You know what I mean? It was super cool. But no, I think it's a cute city. And your properties are cute too. And to your point, you have older properties. Do you see people, with that being said, do you see people kind of remodeling these older properties? Yeah, that's kind of what, yeah.
That's really, the homes here are very quaint and very character driven.
Yeah.
And so it's important to make sure that when they're renovating a home, that they really address that character and keep true to that character.
Right.
So, renovating is going to be important because everything is outdated. Our pipes are outdated. Our electrical is outdated. We have the old knob and tube wiring usually. And so when they make that switch over to modernize the home, those are things that they're going to be addressing. And I love the homes here. They have more character, in my opinion, than anywhere else in LA. And the neighborhood and the people here are just really great. And I've loved Pasadena.
That's cute. What price points? What are we looking at in Pasadena average?
So if you're a first-time home buyer, chances are your starter home is going to be around $1 million to $1.3 million.
Yeah.
If you're wanting something that's turnkey. And then we go all the way up to 20 million. So it really depends on what area you want to be in, what you're looking for. If you're wanting something that's more extravagant, or if you're looking for something that's a little bit smaller, we have everything.
Yes. And then for Douglas Elliman being in Pasadena, what are we doing for marketing you guys out there in your local? Is it a lot more boots on the ground, you guys, your single efforts, or are you guys doing other efforts as well?
There's both. So we actually took part in the Tournament of Roses this year. I'm actually a volunteer member there. Nice. And so we had a booth and we gave out Douglas Elliman information and some giveaways to the crowd of 65,000 people, I believe. And then we also have some marketing that's happening within the local newspapers. So we are out there as a brand, and then also our agents are doing their own marketing as well. So you do see our faces and our logos and everything throughout the city.
Very cool. So when are we getting a float? When's that happening?
Yeah, I don't know if that one's going to happen, but we'll see.
I could totally see you on the front, just, waving away.
Hello.
Yeah. No, so back to because it's so fascinating. Do people get early there in the morning for the parade still? Is that still a thing, or
they start overnight? They camp out overnight.
Oh, yeah, geez. Yeah.
And so it's actually pretty fun. As a tournament member, my first assignment was to the what was it? It was to one of the parade that we do overnight. And so I got to see everything's being set up, see the floats come in, and then meet all the people who are out there camping to get their seats. And then at midnight on New Year's Day, the whole street just starts this major party at the countdown.
Oh,
so
no way.
It's really fun. But it's
you celebrate New Year's. Oh, you celebrate New Year's on the street. Okay. Oh,
yes. Yeah.
Very cool. And then is that a big economic push for you guys every year for that? Do you guys like hotels and dining and stuff, everything?
Oh, absolutely. We get a huge crowd that comes in from all over the city and all over the U.S. And so the hotels are always bustling. Yeah. Our parking here is completely filled. And so it's very difficult for people to find parking for the Rose Parade. But luckily, our office is not far from the parade route, so I can actually see it from my office window.
Oh, that's cool. Mm-hmm. Do they allow short-term rentals out there?
No. No, they don't.
Yeah, because that's my question. I'm like, oh, people might pay top dollar to do that, but if they don't allow it.
They would, yeah. Unfortunately, Southern California has very strict regulations about Airbnb.
Gotcha, yeah. Just like Vegas, Vegas. Yeah. For ours is a different reason. We're competing against a hotel, so that they don't want that, and I get it. But I also think we're losing opportunity for people who have longer stays out here because So I don't know. I see both. I really do, but. I know we're hotel driven, we're hospitality driven, so I get it. But interesting. Okay. Next question for you, because you are a team lead and you are office, associate broker. You're gonna have advice like, hey, I want to be an agent or I'm an established agent. What kind of advice would you give a newer agent or established agent? With today's current market standing.
Well, for new agents, I usually tell them to expect to not make any money the first 6 to 12 months. You're going to be working very hard, but chances are you aren't going to close anything or not very many transactions in that first year. Also, it's really important, like I said earlier, that you're prospecting every single day, because the more prospecting you do, the healthier your pipeline is going to be and the better off you're going to be financially in the long run. Right. So those who stick their nose to the grindstone and keep at it are the ones that are going to be successful. And I think there's an 82% dropout rate of new agents within the first 2 years. And it's because people don't realize how difficult this job is. It's not just sticking a for sale sign in the yard and then putting it on the MLS. There's so much more that goes into it, and making sure that you are networking and constantly bringing in that business. It's a full-time job. So, we're working 7 hours, not 7 hours, we're working 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, practically. I have people that text me at like midnight and then text me at 5 a.m. So, we work all the time. So be ready to do that.
Yeah. It's funny. People was like, oh, I want to be a real estate agent because I have so much more free time or my own time. I'm like, yes, and no. Yeah. 100%. I mean, but you truly, you create your success about what you give into it, what you put into it. Right. So I truly believe in that. I mean, if you want to, and obviously if you want to see your full potential, go full time, right? I don't think part-time works. I don't think as a hobby it works. It's not, because you're competing against me and Lauren. I'm sorry, we're driving a business. Okay, it's not a hobby to see how fun it is. No, it's a business, and and I always remind agents and other people that we're really running multi-million-dollar companies within our own teams. I mean, we really are. You know what I mean? We're not just a real estate agent. We're creating businesses, and that's any successful agent and team would do. But to your point, you got to be in it, and be 100% in it as well. Talk to everyone you can. It's a numbers game. It really is. The more people who know you and know what you do, the odds of you gaining a client is much, much higher, so, and be proud of what you do. They say the worst two sales job is the car salesman and then a realtor right behind it. We have a bad name. It's unfortunate. And I do that, but you can change perception on how you execute your business as well. Right.
Well, and it's a small portion of the real estate community that really gives us a bad name. And unfortunately, people remember the negative more than they do the positive. But, that's not indicative of all agents. There are so many of us that really take pride in our work and make sure that our clients are taken care of and that they are the forefront of our concerns. So even though some people have had really bad experiences with real estate agents, don't let that keep you from working with the right one.
100%. Yeah, agreed. And I'm sure you've done this too. How many listing appointments you've been to and go, Lauren, I had worst experience my last one. So, tell me what you do. You know what I mean? So it's good and bad. It's good that we're obviously trying to change the perception, but it's bad that we have to already have a negative feeling going into it. We're in an uphill battle already. I'm like, all right, let's go. Yeah. So, but it's unfortunate, but to your point, it does not display the majority of us for sure. You know what I mean? They're always a bad apple in any industry, right? And I get it. You know what I mean? But your goal is obviously to be ethical always. Run a good business, run a good shop, and also learn everything you can. So you're really a professional and expert in what you do. Whether it be learning laws, regulations, new construction, places, all that stuff. Your goal is to be a wealth of information, a wealth of knowledge that. Like I'm sure you're Lauren too. They should call you for everything. I mean, if people call me like, hey, I closed this, I want to do this. You recommend? I mean, and literally, like you do, you get those calls and texts, and that because they think you're a resource, and that means you did a good job, right? If you don't hear from them ever again, then something must have went.
And our business doesn't stop at the close of the transaction. We're there to nurture the relationship. And I tell my clients, the majority of my clients that I work with end up becoming very close friends of ours, and we hang out with them and have dinner and, see their kids grow up. And that's really what we're here for, is to be a friend to them that's going to look out for them.
Right. That's when I have a financial advisor. He's kind of like my mentor, and what he does and what we do, we get to have lifelong clients. I mean, for a financial advisor, saving, they're having a child, they save for a 529 plan for college, and then they go to college, and he's experienced that many times with their clients, and we do that too. Like, we're buying a first home, they got engaged, and now they need a bigger home because they're starting a family. It's cool. We get to be part of their lives too, not just the holiday cards we get. We get to be part of those big moments. And I think that's something I never take for granted. I'm so, you become part of the family, which is cool. Yeah. And I love it.
Absolutely. Yes. It's great celebrating those milestones with your clients and friends. We really enjoy being a part of their lives.
Yeah. And I wish I had more time in a week to spend time with all my clients, but I felt bad, right? When they're like, oh, I'm like, oh, I wish I could, I can't, I'm this and that. But I think I've learned I got to do more client advance on a bigger scale, so I can have more people there at one time, and that's something I got to work better on too. Do you do anything like that, client events?
Yes, we've done a couple so far, and the first one there's probably a little more information than you need, but my family, I'm half Japanese. So on my Japanese side of the family, they owned a very famous restaurant here in LA. And so that they closed the doors in 2002, and people are still craving that food. So we reached out to all of our clients and then also to all of our contacts to let them know that we were going to do the recipe for this dish that they have been waiting for years. And that brought out a huge crowd. And then we recently did an Easter bunny event for Easter where they came and took pictures, and we gave them some gifts for the kids. So that was really fun as well.
That's cool. That's really cool. That's good. I've heard from agents, they've done private dinners, they've done festivals, they've done a little. So everyone's got kind of what they do. But that's cool. I think the best thing you do, if you're known for a certain event every year, like that's the goal, right? Like, oh, the Kinkade Group, Wong Group, they host this amazing Easter thing every year. You know what I mean? And it just gets bigger and bigger, and they start inviting their friends, and like it becomes a thing. That's the ultimate goal, I think, for sure.
Absolutely.
So do you cook?
I can cook, but my husband is really the cook in the family. He can walk into the pantry and just see what's in there and make this culinary masterpiece. And he's big on presentation too. So it looks like something in a restaurant. So one of the great things about COVID was that we learned we really don't need to go out to restaurants anymore because he cooks so amazingly well.
That's awesome.
Sometimes I prefer his cooking over a restaurant. So we just eat at home.
There you go. So he enjoys it too? It's a passion of his as well?
Yes. So his father was also the chef in the family. And so he kind of just inherited a lot of what his dad did. And again, like he has that talent to just put something together. For me, I need to look at the recipe. And if I'm missing an ingredient, I freak out. Yeah. But for him, it's a stress release. So I said, release all the stress you want.
And I'll eat. Yeah, have at it. Let's go. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I'm not. I like to cook. I don't have the time to tell you the truth, but I do enjoy it. It's really fun. I think it's, especially if you're doing it with people like you're hanging out, having a glass of wine. Like it's fun. Music's on. It's a good time. But are you a baker then?
I am. Yes.
You seem more like you need the instruction and then precise. That's you. Yeah.
Yes, because baking is all about the chemistry, so it has to be precise. And so I do all of the baking. I do cook Thanksgiving dinner. That's like the one time a year that I do everything.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm big on baking and making things from scratch, not from canned products. So yeah, that's an important part for me.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. So it's important that people know where to find you. Obviously, you're at Pasadena. You know, obviously she's amazing. Her team's amazing. Kind of a lot of talented agents out there too. Do you do anything else like a blog, a website, a social media? Where can they find you? I also put her name up there too, so on social as well.
Yes. So Instagram, my handle is Lauren Kinkade-Wong, and Kinkade is spelled like the painter Thomas Kinkade. So it's Kinkade.
I spelled it right. I'm like, I make sure I spelled it right. Okay, we're good.
And then our website is the Kinkade Group. .com. And then we're on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn as well. But those are the main ways to get a hold of us.
Cool. Also, a tidbit, she can sing.
Yes. I'm a former professional singer.
Yeah. So tell us. I mean, what'd you do with that?
So I sang backup for Gladys Knight and Jessica Simpson. I've sung on movies and TV shows, on Offspring's album one year. I'm dating myself. But yes, that was my life before the real estate industry.
I saw you post where you were singing at the anthem. I'm like, what? This girl can sing? Yeah. Oh, cool. Do you do it just casually now? Just for fun?
Just for fun, yeah. So I'll sing at Dodger Stadium pretty much once a year. And then I do community events as well.
That's so cool. I'm telling you, Douglas Elliman has some talented people out there.
Yes.
It's so cool. Like, it's like, I used to be an actor, a singer. I'm like, I didn't do much of any of that, but that's so cool. I wanted to be an actor. Didn't pan out, but that's cool. Yeah. So Offspring, you said you sang a lot of baseball games. Any like American Idol, any of those ones?
So I was on American Idol.
Oh, you were?
If you blinked, you missed me.
Oh, okay.
But I made it through and was cut the last day of Hollywood, the year of Jennifer Hudson and Fantasia.
Oh wow, very cool. Oh well, if you were there, I would have voted for you all day.
Thank you. I was much, much younger, much more naive. And,
Yeah.
I was a little taken aback. I actually had to, the last audition part that I had for American Idol, we all got up on stage. We had to write our own song based on like 10 or so lyrics that they gave us. And so everybody chose the same one. And Jennifer Hudson sang right before me, and I just looked at her and I was like, I follow her. And then I couldn't remember my own song.
Oh, no.
So yeah, it was crazy, but I just remember being so blown away by her talent.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, kudos to you for even trying that. And obviously kudos to all of that too. So hopefully you can sing at one of our Douglas Elliman events. I mean, maybe you never know.
Yeah, maybe someday.
All right, last fun. You don't know this question, so it's a fun question. So you're a singer. Yes. Who, if you could sing with anybody, do a duet or a part of a band, who would it be and why?
I was a huge Whitney Houston fan.
Okay.
They call her the voice, and her singing ability was impeccable.
Yeah.
And I think it would be such an honor to have been able to sing with her on something,
Sure.
Just to try and garner some sort of knowledge as to what she does and how she does it so well.
Sure.
I was really sad to see her pass away.
Sure.
But yeah, she would be probably the one that I would want to spend some time with.
Yeah. I think she was one of the ones that was actually really humble about her talent. Her talent was just beyond, right? And so she was like super humble, but like, oh, like whatever, I can sing. But super humble. But everyone's like, girl, you can sing, right? It's a different level, yeah. And she still holds the #1 spot, the best national anthem of all time. I mean, that will never go away, kind of thing. I mean, but she was a voice. I mean, she was a powerful voice. So good.
Yes.
No, for sure. Very cool. Very cool. So I want to say thank you so much, Lauren, for your time. It's been awesome. We're hitting about 46 minutes now, kind of thing. It went by very, very quickly. But
it did.
Guys, if you have any questions about Pasadena market or anything else, she's a great leader. She has a lot of experience. Pick her brain, reach out to her. And one thing I have noticed from everyone I invited in the podcast, everyone has welcomed questions from other agents around the industry. Like, hey, if you have any questions, like reach out to me. We're here to help. Obviously, if Douglas Elliman wins, we all win. I mean, it really is, right?
Well, that's one of the things I love about our brand is that we are very collaborative. And that's something that we've taken time to curate. And it's very important to us to maintain that. We don't want this to be an ego-driven company. And so it's all about making sure that we're collaborative and helping each other to push our way up.
Right. I agreed. And everyone said the exact same thing from our leadership at the top. Everyone's like, yeah, I'm like, literally everyone's a phone call away. That's so awesome. I haven't taken advantage of the phone calls, but I know they're there, which is great. But everyone has said, reach out, come on through, come to our office and whatnot. So it's been awesome. Obviously, I'm newer part of the brand kind of thing, but already I feel like I'm part of the family. I mean, which is awesome.
Sure.
So it's a great feeling. I'm very honored. I'm very lucky to be part of this here. And Vegas is doing cool things in a sense. We're so young, we're trying to find our identity here too, but we're definitely learning from established markets like yourself. So guys, if you have any questions about Pasadena, Lauren's your girl. She's awesome. I want to say thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure getting to know you more. And obviously I'm sure we're going to connect very soon in the near future as well.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And I really love everything that you've been doing. And we're very lucky here at Douglas Elliman to have you.
Oh, thank you very much, Lauren. I'll talk to you guys. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.